Well, hello everyone, and welcome to the call. Good morning to everybody here in North America, and good evening to everybody down in Australia. And my name is Dr. Curt Ficenec, for those of you that don't know. I'm a chiropractor up in Fargo, North Dakota, and I've actually, I haven't practiced chiropractic in 10 years. 10 years ago, August 27th, 2007, I was involved in a horrible motorcycle wreck, and they wanted to amputate, the doctors wanted to amputate my leg. I spent 2 months in the hospital, and they wanted to amputate my leg from the hip down, and they said if I didn't get it amputated, my chances of walking again would be pretty slim. I chose not to have my leg taken off, and from that, I basically spent 2 years in a wheelchair, and had to decide what I was going to do for my future as far as how to keep myself busy generating an income, and that's really how I got into network marketing. And I joined a company, and along the way, I realized that they weren't everything that I wanted them to be, and started looking for something else. And it took me a while, and I was able to locate Sizzle through a friend of mine. And I'll just tell you, as a physician, I wish I'd found Tom Maurer a long time ago. I wish I'd found this company when it first started, because there's just some amazing products, and Tom and I have gotten to be friends, and I get to spend some time with him talking about not just the products that we have right now, but kind of the future, what's running through his mind, and for those of you that are on the call for the first time and just listening, finding out about Sizzle, you'll learn that our products, not only are they the most they're just so great as far as the formulations, but Tom and the Maurers, they don't just take and add something to the list, to the formulation, just to say it's in there. There's a reason that every single ingredient is in a product, and they don't just add a little bit just to say it's in there. They add the amount that's been found in research to make the difference, and then as we find out, the formulations change as the Maurers, as Tom finds out that here's something that's better, here's a better ingredient than the last ingredient, so he'll change the formulation along the way to make it more powerful. We actually found that out with a couple of products over the course of the last year. And really, I think that, like Tom says, if a product stays the same, eventually it's going to be obsolete, because science is so advanced right now. We're finding new extracts, we're finding new ingredients, and that's why you don't see Sizzle just sitting on the same products that they came out with years ago. And we've got products that you could design an entire company around one or two of our products, and you could have a huge company with just one or two products. But instead, we're coming out with new products. And recently, in the last month or so, we introduced the A.G.E pill to the world. And when I first heard about it, I was like, are we going to be able to live up to the what we were promoting in the beginning? And certainly, if you're paying attention to the testimonials that are coming in, I think that you'll be totally amazed at what's going on. I have people that aren't on the A.G.E pill yet, and they're watching the different posts on Facebook, the testimonials, and they're saying, Curt, those testimonials, they just sound so unreal, and they sound like they're that they're made up. How can you have that kind of testimonials from people in just a matter of days of using the product? And And sometimes, I look at it and I think the same thing, but then I realized that, what's this product doing? What's the age pill doing? And think of it like really having a engine in your car that's just all plugged up, and the fuel injectors are plugged up, and the carburation and that part of the system is plugged up, and going in there and opening it all up, and once you get your motor tuned up, new plugs and new wires and fresh gasoline with high octane, the car runs better. And you don't have to sit there and drive it 1,000 miles before it starts to run better. I mean, it runs better as soon as you drive it out the repair shop. And that's what we're seeing with people, is that they don't have to put on 1,000 miles. They don't have to wait, 2, 3, 4 weeks to see a change. People are seeing changes immediately. And I love reading those testimonials, because I realize that that's what we're seeing. We're seeing that kind of results with these products. Now, a lot of the people that are having the results, they've been taking other products along the way. And so I know that people have been asking me, they're like, well, Curt, so if we're taking the age pill, do we have to take anything else? And the answer to that, of course, is yes, you still need to take other products. And so that's what I thought we'd talk about on the call tonight. So if you don't mind, I'll just kind of maybe do a quick presentation or lecture type of a call just to cover some of this, and then maybe I can answer a couple questions that you have. But when you're taking the age pill, of course, like I said, it's flushing the system out. It's cleaning things up, which allows the engine in your body to run better, so it's going to work more efficiently, right? And our body operates on hydrogen, and so ATP and the NADH and all these different intermediates, your body has to have hydrogen for that all to operate. And so one of the first things that I talk about was the hydrogen water machine. If you're using a hydrogen water machine, which we all should be, you're gonna put more hydrogen into your body, so your body has that to use as fuel, and it can pull it right out of the system and put it to work. And so if you're taking the age pill and using the hydrogen water bottle, I'm going to suspect that you're going to be one of the people that's going to see the changes right away. And so some people ask me, well, what does the hydrogen do? Well, the hydrogen is really what we burn as energy. It's the gasoline for the cells, and so your mitochondria really need fresh hydrogen. And so if you're drinking hydrogen water, you're gonna get that. The other thing that hydrogen does is it combines with free radicals, and it combines with some of the most toxic free radicals. They're called the hydroxyl group free radicals. And I know most of you probably hated chemistry in high school. You probably never took it in college, but the hydroxyl free radicals, the hydroxyl group, what is that? And think of it like this. Think of it like a molecule, whatever it happens to be, but up in one corner, attached onto that molecule, is something that has a chemical name of OH. Okay? Again, OH. All right? And it's not O, right? Like you're surprised. It's OH. And that means there's oxygen and there's a hydrogen. And so there's a spot that's open, right? And that's what a free radical is. A free radical means that it has an open spot, it has an open chair, and it's looking to grab something from one of your healthy cells to fill that chair, to fill that seat. And when it steals that free radical from the open chair, from your healthy cell, that's what creates problems in your body, which can lead to cancer and oxidation. And so if you take OH and you combine it with a free H, right? Hydrogen and oxygen plus hydrogen equals what? It equals HOH. And that's the chemical formula for what? That's water, H2O. And so it neutralizes those free radicals. And so that's the importance of using hydrogen water. And as we're using the A.G.E pill, your body is taking and removing the sugar coating, the glycation, right? And it's getting rid of the lipofusion. And lipofusion, when you hear the word lipo, right, that means fat. And a lot of toxins are fat soluble. Free radicals are fat soluble. And so it means that they're dissolved in the fat cells. So as we use a product like this, of course your body's going to be flushing out these toxins out of the body. And so the more hydrogen that you have available to neutralize the free radicals, the better off you're going to be. So it's a good reason for you to have a hydrogen water generator along with the A.G.E pill. So that's the first thing that I want to cover with people. The next thing is the Eternity product, and Eternity is if you haven't heard of it, is our resveratrol product. And resveratrol, we've all heard that red wine is good for you, red wine is healthy, and a lot of people just say that so that they can drink red wine, but they don't understand why is it healthy, and it's because of the resveratrol. And so in each dose of the resveratrol that we get with Eternity, we're taking in about the equivalent of just under 300 glasses of red wine in each dose. And so if you're doing that once a day, at the end of a month, you're drinking about 1,000 equivalent to a resveratrol is drinking 1,000 bottles of red wine. And so there's some numbers that you can use when you go out and market with people. And the nice thing is that you're not getting the effects of the alcohol, the side effects of the alcohol. You're just getting the great benefits of the resveratrol. And Tom has formulated just a super, super product. And recently he was able to bump the resveratrol up even higher. And so for those of you that have noticed that there's a change in the taste in the product, that's why. But why resveratrol and the A.G.E pill? And the answer to that is that if you look at what does resveratrol do in the body, well, resveratrol in the dose that we're taking in the equivalent of drinking the 300 glasses of red wine, what does that do in your body? You know, what's so important about that? Well, what it does is it triggers a gene in your body called the sirtuin gene, right? Another name for the sirtuin gene is the gene of youthfulness, the gene of youthfulness. So the sirtuin gene is triggered to be reactivated by high doses of resveratrol. And so the gene of youthfulness, the sirtuin gene, let me kind of explain it a little bit. And I like to explain things in terms that you can actually take it and you can think about it and you can use it and you don't have to be real scientific about it, is that when you're young, think about it, you know, a young child falls down how many times when they're learning how to walk? How many times do you fall down and wipe out with your bicycle when you're learning how to ride your bicycle? How many times do you hurt yourself when you're goofing around with your buddies and your friends when you're a teenager? And pretty much, you know, under the age of 20, you bounce right back. I mean, yeah, you're gonna you're gonna be a little sore, but you bounce right back. Your body heals up rather quickly. It seems like when you get to be somewhere around the age of 30, all of a sudden you don't see that happening anymore. And that's because somewhere in your 20s, the sirtuin gene kind of shuts off. It kind of goes a little bit dormant, and so your body doesn't recover quite as quickly, and so that gene goes a little bit dormant. Well, with the high dose of resveratrol, it triggers that gene to come back to life, and so you'll see people. I've had testimonials of people that have had inflammatory type conditions, inflammatory arthritis, autoimmune disorders like that, that have seen tremendous benefits just taking the Eternity product, just using the Eternity product, and so what a great product to use. But what does it have to do with the Age pill? Well, when you turn these sirtuin genes on, it starts to go to work activating the sirtuin genes. The resveratrol does, but the sirtuin genes need fuel as well. They need to have other factors, and that's where the NAD plus that's generated with the Age pill. When you take the NR that's in our product, which in the Age pill, that's the precursor to making NAD plus, and NAD plus is the fuel for these sirtuin genes, and so the resveratrol activates the sirtuin gene, and the NAD plus fuels it. So that you definitely want to be taking Eternity along with the Age pill. So you want to be taking high dose resveratrol like that. And as a physician, as somebody that's really into science, I'll just say this: I've never seen another resveratrol product that even comes close to what we have. I've never ever seen it. Tom's able to concentrate that into a product, and resveratrol oxidates rather quickly. So as soon as it gets exposed to air, it tends to lose some of its high octane boost. If put in terms of cars, because I like cars. But so when you look at most resveratrol products, they're manufactured out in the air, and they're encapsulated, which allows them to be exposed to air. If you have a liquid resveratrol product, most of the time it gets exposed to air and it oxidizes it. Well, what Tom does is that he reverse fills the bottles, those red bottles that we get our Eternity. He reverse fills them with nitrogen, so that as you're filling it with the Eternity, with the nutraceutical, it's not being exposed to air. So as long as that bottle hasn't been opened, when you get it, it's never been exposed to any air. And then if you consume it in a 30-day period of time, like you're supposed to, that bottle is going to have full potency. And so that's what sets it apart from any of the other resveratrol products that are on the market, and so you can take that to the bank when you're talking to people as well. So then, what about the fucoidan? Well, fucoidan bumps up the body's immune system. I've had people who have been really sick and gone on the fucoidan, and they notice changes almost immediately because it bumps the immune system up. And so, when we take a look at, again, talking about the Age pill, what products are still needed? Well, we still need to keep that immune system strong. So the fucoidan is really, really necessary. And especially in today's world, we're exposed to all these super viruses and these super bugs and these super bacteria that we've concocted by creating GMO type of foods and things like that. And really, I mean, as much as we want to try and avoid GMO, type foods and that, we've already been exposed to them. It's here to stay. And so you really got to think about what can you do to keep your body strong. And I always say, Chuck Norris strong. You want to keep your body strong enough that the bugs and the viruses and the bacteria are more scared of you than you are of it. And so the fucoidan is a great product for that. And the other thing that it does is it gets rid of inflammation. And what scientists have found is that every chronic health condition has inflammation as one of the components to that disease. And so why wouldn't you want to do everything you can to lower the inflammation? And fucoidan is just such a simple product. Again, it's a liquid nutraceutical. I think it tastes good. I do a shot every morning. If I feel like I'm getting run down, I'll do a second shot in the evening. And some days, if I really feel run down, I'll do multiple shots during the day as well. I really believe in the product. But again, along with the A.G.E pill, you still want to bump your immune system. You still want to get rid of inflammation, and that's where fucoidan comes in. So you want to use that. The next product that I want to talk about that goes along with what we're doing in this whole process of slowing the aging process is Spectramax. And Harvard Medical years ago came out with a study, and they said that it was like somewhere close to 90% of people were deficient on key essential nutrients that we need in our body. And essential means that you need them, you can't make them. And so Harvard said that 90% of people, that was back about 10 or 15 years ago. Now here, within the last couple of years, as they did a follow-up to this study, they actually bumped it up, and they said 99% of people are deficient on key essential nutrients. And so if you're willing to take a chance and bet that you're part of the 1%, yeah, don't take a nutraceutical like Spectramax. But for those of us, the people who are thinking that we want to be healthy, you want to be using a product, and I haven't seen anything that compares with Spectramax. 40 antioxidants, and then also 74 trace minerals. And if you look at most vitamins, most multivitamins, you take a peek at most of the labels, you're going to find that most multivitamins will have, somewhere 12, they might have 20. The best one I've ever really seen had 24 trace essential minerals, and that's just not enough. And Spectramax has 74. And so again, the A.G.E pill fulfills one aspect of slowing the aging process, right? It removes the sugar coating, it removes the sludge, and it bumps up the hydrogen levels, it bumps up the electrical activity in your cell. But if you don't have the nutrients, the minerals for your body to rebuild, repair, and work during the day, what's going to happen is that your metabolic processes are going to get to a certain level, and they're just going to stop. They're not going to try and continue because they don't have the nutrients that they need. So it's like that car. If you only have 3 wheels, but you need 4, your car's not going to go down the road, right? You're not going to take off out of your garage and drive down the road with 3 wheels. Your car is still grounded. And that's what happens with your body if you're missing any of your key nutrients. So that's why Spectramax is another one of those products that you need along with the A.G.E pill to make it work the way it's supposed to work, because you have to give your body the minerals and the vitamins that it needs. And so as you talk to people, share that with them. Share the idea that here, you need this along with the A.G.E pill. And then I think that another one that I do need to talk about, along with the age pill, is the TSX, the Telomere Support Extreme, right? And for those of you that have been in wood chisel for a while, those of you that are into anti-aging, you've heard about telomeres, and the science got the Nobel Prize. They got the Nobel Prize back in 2009 for their work with telomeres. And what they found is that by adding certain nutritional extracts, you can actually repair the telomeres. And so without spending a lot of time, I'm just going to explain what telomeres are. Think of a telomere as being the fuse on a stick of dynamite. In your lifespan is the dynamite. And so when your mom and dad got together and conceived you, how many years ago, right? When they conceived you, you were given a group of these nucleotides called telomeres. And what happens is that every time your cells divide, a little bit of that fuse is burnt off. It's clipped off, right? And so by the time that from conception to when you pop out of the womb, about a third of your telomeres were used up. So by the time you're born, 1/3 of those nucleotides are used up, and so you've got 2/3 left. Well, throughout your life, those telomeres, that fuse is burnt off. It's clipped off a little bit at a time, and really, like we were talking about the sirtuin gene, kind of shutting off at about the age of 25. What you're going to also find is that when you're looking at this fuse, this telomere, it's clipping off at a rather slow rate when you're young, till about the same time, till about the age of 25 or 30, maybe 35 for some people. But what you're going to find is that it's the fuse is being used up rather slowly, so you're aging slowly, right? Your telomere, your cellular age, your fuse in your body is burnt off rather slowly. About the age of 30, 35, it starts to speed up. So it goes up by maybe, let's say it goes up by about 50%. And so now at the age of about 35 to about 40, 45, it's clipping off a little bit faster. At 40, 45, somewhere in there, it starts to speed up a little bit more. So it's starting to pick up speed here. And so from about 45 to 55, again, if you look in the mirror, for those of us that are around that age, you start to see that, hey, I'm starting to show some of the signs of aging, some of the wrinkles, the crow's feet. You're going to see that you're starting to see more saggy skin. Your hair is starting to gray. You're losing some hair, things like that. And you start to notice that, hey, it's catching up with me a little bit. About the age of 55, 60, and somewhere in there, it speeds up a little bit faster. So now you're actually aging twice as fast as you were at the age of 25. At about 55 or 60, you're aging about twice as fast as you did when you were in your youth, when you were in your 20s and that. And so these telomeres are being clipped off at a faster rate. And then when you get to be about 65, 70, again it speeds up, and it speeds up again and again and again the older you get. And so what they found, and what the Nobel Prize was in 2009, is they found, hey, we can slow that down. And they thought they found the miracle product for anti-aging. And it's been great because you can take and you can add a little bit of length back to that fuse. And so now if you're clipping off at a faster rate at about the age of 55 like I am, and then you add fuse back to it, all of a sudden now you can slow the aging process down inside the cell. You can slow down kind of that clock. Well, some people say, well, if I start taking the A.G.E pill, then do I have to continue to take TSX? And the answer is yes, because the A.G.E pill, it stimulates the body to turn on these genes that are good. It repairs the DNA, because you got to remember that because of stress, because of toxic stress, because of chemicals, every cell in your body, every strand of DNA is getting hit about 10 times a day. It's getting damaged where the DNA is broken about 10 times per day. And so what the A.G.E pill does is it helps to repair that. Those sirtuin genes, they help to repair that. The stem cells, they help to repair that. And so that the NAD, which is what the A.G.E pill that makes, it helps to make, is it repairs that. It fuels that process, so that's repairing that. But you can see you still need this along with adding, link back to the overall fuse, the nucleotides that determine your lifespan. And so you really want to be on the TSX along with the A.G.E pill, along with the Eternity, along with the Fucoid, and along with the Spectromax for those various reasons. And so that's why we're seeing that what corporate did over at Sizzle is they put together this ageless pack, right? The ageless pack, and it contains all of those products. And now you know how to explain that to people, and you can say, here's why we've added this into a specific pack, and so you can recommend that to people. And sometimes people will come back to me and they'll say, well, is that all we need to take? Well, the answer to that is really it's no, and the reason why is that because of different things that we've done with our diet, different things that we've done with exposure to chemicals and things like that, we've depleted the body of certain types of things that we need to make hormones. And so, if you're really going to stay healthy, you still need to take the inner chi. We have an inner chi for him. We have an inner chi for her. And that'll help take and balance out some of those hormones. And there's ingredients in the inner chi for her that scientifically, if you read the studies, not our product. Our product hasn't been tested scientifically. But there's extracts in the inner chi that have been shown to help with blocking cancer cells from attaching to the breast tissue. Again, blocking the cancer cells from being able to attach. And if they can't attach, guess what? They're going to help slow down that whole process, right? So we can't say prevent, so we can't say cures, we can't say treat, but it helps block the cancer cells from attaching. And the inner chi for him pretty much has the same thing as far as like for the prostate tissue. And so that's where the inner chi comes in. You need that product. And then I talk about the 4 Restore. A lot of people by the time they've hit the age of 20, they've already got blockage in their arteries. And I know some of you that are young, you're listening as you're going, oh no, not by 20, but yeah, by the age of 20, 25, you could actually go in and do a biopsy. And if you did a study of the arteries in a 20, 25-year-old, you're going to find that there's a certain amount of blockage. And that's because our diets in the Western world, we tend to eat a lot of carbs, and that kicks out a lot of bad fats. I'm not going to get into the whole metabolic process of how it does it, but the liver's kicking out these bad fats, this cholesterol, and it's plugging the arteries. And what the 4 Restore has in it, it has an ingredient called L-arginine. And again, here's a Nobel Prize-winning scientific-based product that they found. L-arginine helps to clean out some of those arterial plaquing and opens that up. And again, it's not our product. Our product didn't get the Nobel Prize, but the science behind it did. And so that's one of the reasons that you should be on the 4 Restore, because it's going to keep those arteries open. And again, you know, we just got to admit that we haven't led the cleanest lifestyles here in the Western world where most of us live, and so you want to be taking the 4 Restore. The other place that we tend to have plaquing is up in the brain, and so the plaquing that takes place up there, we've got a product called Brain Vitality that is just a superb product for helping with that. Again, you know, our product hasn't been scientifically tested, but some of the ingredients have a lot of research on them. And you take a look at the Gotu Kola, you take a look at the Bacopa, you take a look at those ingredients. They've been shown to help actually in studies on those extracts. They've been helping with brain cell activity, making good connections in the brain, and then magnesium is necessary for good brain function. And we use a special form of magnesium that's been studied. It's called magnesium threonate. And if you look at most magnesium, they don't use an expensive form like magnesium threonate. They'll use cheaper forms. Basically, they'll give you a magnesium dust, and they put it in there, but it just doesn't do the same thing. It doesn't pass through the blood-brain barrier as quickly. Remember, your body puts up a wall, if you will, a selective wall that only lets certain nutrients pass into the brain. It's trying to protect your brain from toxic exposure. And so magnesium threonate is easy to pass through there, and it gets the magnesium to the brain as quick as possible so that your body can utilize it. And so that's the magnesium threonate. And so it's really a great product. And in studies, they've shown that with early forms of dementia, it helps out. So, you know, let's look at this. How does that relate to the age pill? Well, you know, the sludge, the toxic sludge, the lipofuscin that we're talking about, the glycation, the sugar coating that we're talking about. Well, your brain is made up of 60 to 70% fat cells, right? 60 to 70% of your brain is made up of fat. And so when somebody calls you a fathead, you should say thank you, because you really are. But when you're looking at the brain, the fat that's there, your body's going to make the brain out of whatever fat is available. And so if you're eating food like fried chicken or overcooked steak or overcooked burgers, things like that, you know, those are glycated, and so what happens is that now your body's going to use these sugar-coated fats to make you out of. And actually, there was a study that they came out with a number of years ago. They took a probe and they stuck it into the fatty tissue of people's buttocks, and they took like a core sample. Let's call it a core sample, so you can get a visualization of what they're doing. And they pulled it out, and then they took it into a lab and they analyzed it, and they were able to tell what kind of food you ate based on this core sample, based on the fat that they found in the butt cheeks of people when they did that sample. So if you ate a lot of chicken, they could tell that. If you ate a lot of steak, they could tell that. If you had a rather clean lifestyle, they could tell that. And so you know, it's interesting. You know, I get a kick out of studies like that, and I find it quite interesting. But again, you know, so that's why we need the Brain Vitality along with the Age pill, because the Age pill is going to pull out that sugar coating out of the brain cells. It's going to pull out the lipofuscin, and one of the things that you're going to see is that if you stay on the Age pill, you know, 2, 3, 4 months, I mean, trust me, you're going to start seeing that you're going to have better memory. You're going to start to remember things that that you weren't able to remember, you're going to find that you're going to remember to do the things that are on your to-do-it list. You're going to get them done, and you're going to get them done with record time. And how do I know? Well, I heard about this almost exactly a year ago. I was at a seminar on anti-aging and how to prevent early death, and that was one of the things that they presented. They talked about NAD, they talked about the R-lipoic acid, and that's the ingredients that's in our age pill. And so I heard about this science a year ago, and I started taking those extracts, and I was spending for the last year I've been spending somewhere between $120, $180 a month buying those extracts for myself because I thought it made sense. And I reported earlier this summer that after taking those extracts for a number of months, and I was taking really, when I look at the formulation that we have with the age pill, I mean, like I said, it was costing me 3 times as much as what I'm paying now for the age pill, and it was about a third as powerful. And I noticed that I had better memory. I noticed that I could see more clearly. My vision improved. I noticed that I could really function better. And so I was excited when Tom told me the dosage that was going to be in the age pill, because I thought, holy cow, it's going to be a triple dose of what I was doing. And then on top of it, when Tom says he wants us all to take a double dose for the first couple of months, and so when you read those testimonials again, that's why, because it's doing that. But along with taking the sugar coating and the sludge out of the fatty tissue of your brain, you need to provide your brain with the proper nutrients to repair itself, and that's really what the brain vitality does, is it helps to repair all of that. And then the renovator, what does that have to do? Well, the renovator gives you the same type of thing, except for it's not for the brain, it's for the joints, and it's for the cartilage, and it's for the tissue surrounding all of the joints in your body. And so you're going to need that. And as you feel better and you have more energy, aren't you going to want to have less pain in your joints? And that's what the renovator does, really simply, without getting into a lot of science behind it. And then finally, before I see if there might be a question or two, is that the Super Omega product is loaded up with not only some of the good essential fats that we need. Remember, I was saying that your body's going to make itself out of the fats that you provide for it. And so these omega-3s, omega-7s, omega-9s, omega-12s, they're all good, healthy fats, and your body's going to use that to build you out of it. It's going to build the connections in the brain. And so that's why you want a product like the Super Omega Plus, because it gives you these in a real potent form. But also what Tom's done is he's included CoQ10. And CoQ10 is an enzyme that your body needs to, especially for the muscles of the heart, the cardiovascular system. And so as we're removing inflammation and we're improving your health, your body needs CoQ10. And some people tell me, oh, I'm already taking a CoQ10 product. Well, the answer to that is that you might think you are, but most CoQ10 on the market actually isn't CoQ10. They're actually giving you CoQ9 because it's cheaper and it's easier to formulate into a nutritional product. But they don't get caught and that, so they're actually putting CoQ9 into there rather than CoQ10, and so people are they say to me they're well, like why are they able to do that? Well, who's going to check, right? I mean, did you even know there was a CoQ9, right? And ninth coenzyme versus the 10th, And so that's why, the product that we use, it's a stabilized form of the CoQ10, so that's what you're getting when you're taking the Super Omega Plus. And some people, they'll say to me, they'll say, well, that's an expensive fish oil product. Well, it's because we're not just putting in fish oil, we're putting in the other good healthy fats like the omega-7, and we're adding the CoQ10, and a stabilized form of CoQ10 is actually fairly expensive, and so it's all in one product rather than you having to go out and buy this one and that one and that one. It's all in there. So anyhow, that's just kind of some of the things that I would say that you need to take along with the A.G.E pill. It helps make the A.G.E pill work better, and I hope that I covered the reason why you need to take those. If you came to my house right now, you'd see every single one of them sitting there on my kitchen counter, right next to my A.G.E pill, right next to my hydrogen water machine, and right next to my bag of Sizzling, and I'm not just talking about these products. I'm taking these products, and then on top of it, I actually take more products than that. And I kind of chuckle a little bit. I got new health insurance 8 months ago, back in January, and the lady on the phone, did this interview before they could give me this insurance, and she said, well, who's your doctor? And I told her, and I was honest. I said, me. And she said, well, how can you be your own doctor? And my answer simply is that I think everybody should be their own doctor. And she said, well, what medication do you take? Because most people here in the United States, after the age of 50, they get thrown on a bunch of different medications. Their doctors recommend medications. And I said, well, I'm not taking any. And she said, well, everybody takes something. And I said, I don't even have aspirin in the house. I don't have, any medications in my house. And she said, well, do you take nutritional products? I'm like, yeah. And she said, what do you take? And I started listing everything that I took. And she said, well, how do you have time to eat? But anyhow, Katie, Andrea, do you have any questions for me?
And I think that was fantastic. Thank you for sharing everything that you did tonight. It was great. I guess one question I might ask, actually, if someone had to say pick the top three or four products, say top 2, top 3, top 4, what would they be?
Well, like I said, I think I listed them in order of what I think would be the most important. I think that the Triangle of Life, of course, and the TSX are probably some of the more important ones that you need to take along with it. Again, I should probably move the Super Omega up to the top of the list as well. But yeah, that's the ones that I would say: the Triangle of Life, the TSX, and the Super Omega.
Yep, great. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. I think we're used up pretty much that whole half hour talking about that. Get this information out to people. I think that they want to know. People want to know, and learn how to explain things unscientifically. Learn how to explain things in terms of how people can understand it, because it's gonna stick in their mind, and then they realize that, hey, I don't have to learn all this crazy science. I don't have to become a mad scientist, and they can share it with other people. So everybody have a wonderful day. I'll be back here next Thursday, and we'll share some more information. Thanks, everyone. Bye-bye.
Thanks, Curt.
Thank you.